Chilly temperatures outside, back to that, might not mean the end of your gardening. Our 5-minute gardener, Debbie Mounts from Harlow Garden, shows us how to create cuttings.
Good afternoon. Well, my mom, who died a few years ago, was a plant fanatic. So I grew up with a house filled with houseplants, and she loved taking cuttings and creating new plants. So our windowsills, our kitchen windowsill was always filled with jars of water with cuttings of plants, and then she would just take them and kind of stick them in dirt and start new plants, and then she'd give them to friends or neighbors, whoever wanted them. So today I'm going to show you guys what my mom taught me when I was a little girl on how to do that, how to create a new plant for some of the plants you may have around your house. Okay, first I'm going to show you the first one. This is a pothos. Now there are many varieties of pothos, but this one is a marble queen pothos. And what you want to do is you go along the stem of the plant and you cut just right below a joint where a leaf comes out. You can just cut like right there. So now I've got this piece of plant here, okay? So what I want to do is take off the leaves that are possibly going to be underwater. You don't want that because they'll rot out and they can possibly rot the piece out. So just take the bottom leaves off, and then I'm just going to take this and I'm going to set it in water. And you'll notice along this pothos stem there are these little things that are sticking out, and those are actually like the beginnings of roots. So what I've done is I've got a little jar of water here, and I'm sticking this little piece down in the jar of water, and along where those little roots are sticking out, it's going to develop more roots. Now in the water, I don't have just plain water. I put in some root stimulator with it to encourage some root development on those stems. Now I also have over here a plant called a Hoya. This is one of those old-fashioned type plants that, again, your grandmother or your mother may have used. And this is one, let me find a stem here. This is one that has kind of a thick, waxy stem to it. And again, I'm going to get up underneath these leaves and cut it. And I think this is going to be okay if I just stick it right in the water. Well, maybe not. Let's pull these leaves off. Okay, and we'll stick that guy in the water. So now we've got a pothos and a Hoya, and then there's the spider plant, and this actually has little tiny babies along its stems, right along here, and you can actually just plant those little babies. Okay, you guys, good luck creating new plants.
I need luck when it comes to green thumb. Debbie joins us now to show us how to plant those cuttings. Let me ask you, you make it look foolproof, slam dunk, sure thing. Is it as easy and as successful as it is for you, for us?
Yeah, actually it is. Now the interesting thing is those little cuttings that I put in that jar, the jar got knocked over and the cuttings dried out when I was on my days off, so I couldn't bring those today. So, but what I did bring is another thing to show you. Now I'm going to do the same thing that I did on the segment, and I'm going to take a little cutting of this.
Okay.
But in this, this time, instead of sticking this in a jar, in a jar of water, I'm going to stick this in a thing called rooting hormone. And what this does is this actually encourages root development on the ends of these stems. It's a little powder, and you know, you can buy it in all your garden centers, and it works really well. So I just stick this there and just poke it right down into the soil.
So keep that powder on the stem at the
Keep
bottom.
that powder on the stem.
Yeah.
The powder is what's going to help create new roots on this plant. Now what would happen if, when I take this home, I'm going to water it, and the plant's going to really look droopy for a while. It's going to look like you've really made it unhappy, which you have.
Stressed it a little?
It's going to stress it quite a bit. But then what will happen is after a while the rooting hormone will kick in, and it'll start to develop a few roots which can help bring up the water to the plant, and it'll recover. It'll take 2 to 3 weeks for that to happen, so don't give up. But rooting hormone is great stuff. I've done big dracaenas, actually cut pieces off, just literally cut the stalk right off, stuck it in rooting hormone, stuck it down in the soil, and it looked pretty sad for a while, but they recover and come back, and you'll grow a whole new plant.
I'm sitting here thinking how nice it would be to do with your Christmas plants like your poinsettias and things like that. Can you do it with something like that, or is there a certain type of plant that lends itself to this?
There's only some plants that really lend themselves to this.
Yeah.
A poinsettia is not one of those. Poinsettia is in the euphorbia family, and it has like a milky sap that comes out of it, and that's not going to be conducive for that kind of thing. You'd have to be a real horticulturist to do that. Don't want anything too hard.
Right.
But your typical house plants and things are very easy to do with this. Very easy.
Yeah, these look like healthy, I guess, tougher plants to me. You know,
they're just, they're just kind of your grandma's plants.
Yeah.
You know, they're your grandma, your mom. Like in my case, my mom's plants. She had all of these plants, so it's easy to do. So now we've got this little tiny baby started already.
And in what period of time will we have a healthy-looking, vibrant plant out of that?
Well, in a month, it should get back to looking like this, where it's perky and looks like it's happy, and then it'll start to give. It already has a new leaf coming here, and hopefully, given enough roots, that leaf will develop and it'll start to trail. And as it trails, if you want to have a thicker plant, you can cut another piece off, do the same thing, stick it back in the soil. So then you get a big bushy plant.
New leaf, new life. Debbie, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks
anytime.
Joining us on the holiday weekend, and have a good rest of the weekend. All right, we'll take a break. We'll be right back.